Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to today's video. Once again, thank you so much for all the love and support for the last Q&A with my fiance. It seemed like you guys really loved it and I had a lot of fun.
Me too.
It was a good time. Yeah. So we're almost 1,000 subscribers, guys. So I'm like, dude, this is so close. Like, thank you again. Today we'll be talking about dating advice for women, and I brought my fiance here to give you guys her point of view, and I feel like it'd be nice to have a woman involved versus me just talking about it. So we all know that dating in this day and age is super fucking difficult. It sounds like everyone is legitimately struggling with dating because we have friends from like 20 years old to 30 to 40 years old, and they're all just struggling. I don't know exactly what's going on, but it's a very difficult time. So I know it's a lot of dating advice for men, but it's really, really difficult to find legitimate good dating advice for women to just have a normal, everyday, sustainable relationship. Like, not every relationship that everyone wants is like on Instagram doing like crazy yacht stuff, right? It's like people have real fucking jobs and people want to have a family. They want to go home, enjoy their time off, right?
Yeah.
So I guess, what was the hardest thing that you found dating as a woman?
I'm going to give you two answers.
Okay,
so,
go for it.
The hardest is like, it's hard to figure out someone's intentions.
Definitely.
Like, is this person interested in me? Do they like me for me? Or are they just saying what they need to try to sleep with me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's always a question. And then two is like having friends that support you, and like a good group of girlfriends that have like a similar goal, that are like that's something I didn't really have when I was dating, is like good girlfriends that are like, hey, like, I want a family, I want to meet a really great guy, I want to like build a life, find someone to grow with me. I think that's hard if you're the only person that's doing that and you're surrounded by people that are just like partying, sleeping around, or like just trying to find a guy or settling with a guy that they, say. We've all been around girls that are like, oh, like, I hate my boyfriend, he sucks.
Yeah.
And being surrounded by, and then you're like, well, why are you dating him then?
Yeah, definitely. You hit some really good points, is like the idea of like distinguishing the difference of what a guy wants from you, right? Like the intent, whether he's just trying to say stuff and pretend like he's a high value man to mimic those behaviors just to get in your pants and then burn you. Cause then like that hurts everything. Like that destroys your self-esteem. Like that ruins it. And then now you have trust issues. And then now you have that like almost baggage you bring into the next relationship, right?
Yeah. It's hard to find, like, if you find a great guy, then you don't trust it. Like that happened with you. Like at first you were so great, and I was like, how are you this great? Like, what do you want? And you're like, no, I'm just that great,
Yeah, I guess there's
hard
a
to trust
difference,
it
right?
sometimes.
Because it's like some people like legitimately get screwed over. Like some good people, there's good people out there, men and women, who get screwed over. They don't fall in the category of like bad boy, bad girl doing like crazy stuff. It's just like they get used sometimes. And that sucks, right? Because not everyone, I know online everyone says like every guy's a fuckboy, every woman's evil. Like that's not true as a whole. Like we can't just say that. There's good people that get screwed over. And it's really dependent upon your friend group, like you said. Like who you hang out with really determines the trajectory of your life, the type of people you meet, and what's acceptable behavior. Because if you have really bad friends who are sleeping around, partying all the time, and then you try to get advice from them, like they're gonna give you horrendous advice that will ruin you.
Yeah, because if you're a good person and you end up like spending time dating a fuckboy or an evil woman, like that creates so much damage.
Totally.
And like if you surround yourself with people that push you in that direction, like that's all you're gonna attract. Like if your friends, that's all they attract, how are you expecting to meet like a great guy?
Yeah, that's true, because like who you hang out with determines like the type of people that'll be invited into your life. Because if you have really shitty friends, like I would be like, whoa, I don't want to get involved, because you are the representation of the whole of your friend. Because like if all your friends do drugs, party, and sleep around, then I'm like, well, if you're so great, why are you hanging out with these type of people?
Yeah.
And I don't want that in my life, because now they're pushing you to do things like going, it's like this really dangerous things that you should not be doing.
Yeah.
And I think it's really, really important, because it's like, if you don't have friends to speak up for you, for your protection, to give you good advice, because I know dating is super difficult. If you don't have a good sounding board, someone who has a healthy, solid relationship, then it's like you probably shouldn't be taking advice from those people.
Yeah, even if they're also single, you shouldn't you should be looking for the same things, doing wholesome activities, like trying to find a great guy. Like don't say you want to find a really nice guy and then go out to clubs all the time and be like, well, this is where I'm going to find him. No, it's not.
Yeah, no, I think that was a great point. Like what you say, you have to do. You can't go around and be like, I'm having a hard time finding a quality man. I want someone who's nice, dependable. And then you go out, sleep around, you're fucking around the club, you're doing coke. Like, like that, your behaviors have to match your intent. Like you have to follow through, right?
And we've both known people like that, which say all these things and you hang out with them and you're like, wow, like our values line up. This is great. And then you go out with them and you're like, wait, like
they're a completely different person.
Yeah. Like this.
Yeah, no, we had like a friend that you talk to them and it sounds like it's very legitimate. It's like, oh wow, it sounds like, oh, poor you, like a damsel in distress type of vibe. And you have like empathy, but then you get like a couple of drinks in them and you see them like flirting with like everyone in the bar, like just like getting free drinks, like dancing. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, we just got played.
We
got played.
We did. And that's the other thing, like for girls, like girls that say, oh, well, I don't want to date him. I just want to use him for a free meal or a free drink.
Messed up. Yeah.
Is like so fucked up. Like that is a person, like regardless, like for you to go over and like lead someone on just because you don't want to buy dinner. Like that's a big thing in DC. We've seen like a lot of like posts about that. There's girls that go out and like, they go on enough dates that they have someone buy their dinner every night of the week.
Yeah, it's like back to back to back. And I guess this thing is like this behavior is promoted in this culture, especially in the DC area. Like DC is like the worst place to date. I know like major cities like New York, but DC is notoriously bad. It's like this bad behavior gets promoted because the type of people you hang out with, it's like acceptable, right? Like, oh, I've done that. And it's like, what happens is good behavior, like being respectful to another human being, valuing their time, respecting boundaries, having consent. Like these things aren't spoken about versus being like, oh girl, yeah, go do that, get yours. And it's like, you're only destroying and advocating for this bad culture that will never go away. Like if you want to change it, it has to change within yourself.
And I think that's the thing too, is like people will say, and that's like growing up as a woman, like feminism, like, it's great. Like I'm in med school, like I get that, like, but there's a lot in feminism that I think did me a lot of harm.
Yeah, and I guess, there's nothing wrong with like being empowered as an individual, but not the expense of an opposite gender, right? Like,
what is empowering? Is empowering to have boundaries.
Yeah, it's just like, being empowered does not mean denigrating another individual and making them less than you, right? Like that's the whole thing, is like you don't have to shit another person to be empowered.
Or you don't have to have like to be an empowered woman, you don't have to be this like Instagram, like I'm posting pictures in bikinis all the time, like I'm out with all the hot guys. Like that's not, like if you value yourself, like do what makes you happy and don't let anyone convince you to do anything.
What's safe.
And safe. Yeah. You don't owe anyone anything. Like no matter, none of my friends told me this either. Like you go on a few dates with someone, you kind of like them at the beginning, and then you realize, oh no, you're like weird and I don't like you anymore. Definitely. You don't owe them any more dates. Yeah. You don't owe them any more time. You can say, hey, like, I don't like you, and just never see them again. And that's, you're right, and you should.
Definitely. I think it's really important to talk about like strings attached. Like I know, girls, guys buy girls drinks all the time, but you realize when you accept that drink, that is a drink with strings attached. And if you accept it and then you like don't talk to him, it kind of puts you in a bad position of like using someone. But the best thing to do, guys, is like if you're actually empowered, buy your own fucking drink. That would solve all that. Be like, if you're so empowered, like first of all, denying a drink from a creepy guy, you're saying, I don't want this. I can sustain myself because of safety facts, right? But then you can't go out and be like, I want a nice guy. Then you accept the drink, use the guy, and you don't know what the guy does. You could put a roofie in there. You could do like this. You don't know what you're drinking.
Or at the very least, you talk to the guy, he buys you drinks, and then he's like, oh, okay, well, this means you owe me sex.
Yeah.
That is what happens a lot. And you may be there and you may be like, oh no, like I thought you were, like I grew up in the South, right? So like to me, it was really important. Like we went out on our first date and he bought my coffee. And I was like, that's great. Like he's a gentleman. Like that was very important to me. Like we split bills, but like the first date, like that's super important.
And I still get the like expensive dinner dates when we go out. It's cute. It makes me feel like a man. Yeah.
But in a bar situation, they're not being gentlemen.
Yeah,
Like,
well, I think that's really important because it's like, there's nothing wrong with buying someone a drink. If you truly are selfless, like, hey, like, I'll get the first round out of genuine joy because, like, hey, don't, because you know, because you're so great, there's gonna be another round, just cover that one. It's like we're sharing a good time, but it's like unconditional. There's no strings attached. It's like, hey, like, we're having a great time, like, you're super nice, like, allow me to buy this drink, but it's not like I'm buying you this drink, you owe me something.
I think that's the other thing too, is like, be like, as a girl, be careful, because if they're like, oh, I'll get this round, you get the next round, now you're committing to 2 drinks with somebody.
Yeah.
Which is kind of dangerous. Like, what if they're creepy and then you want out?
And then you're drunk and you can't legally consent if you have alcohol.
No, you can't.
And I think it's important, like, if you're like in a safe space, a safe environment with someone, and it's just like, you know, you have good friends and you know, the guy has a good heart and stuff, like, hey, like, they will never press you to drink. Like, just good friends, but they won't pressure you to drink. So it's like, hey, like, I'll get the first drink, and then like, hey, maybe next time we go on a date, you know, you'll get the next one, right? It doesn't have to be like immediate. So I think if we're talking about legitimate empowerment, it's like, be careful and value yourself and realize there's legitimate repercussions of accepting gifts from strangers, and you got to do it in the right way. It has to be legitimate, selfless. Like, of course, have I bought like some people drinks? I didn't owe anything. Like, you know, like, it's like genuine, just having fun with your friends. And it's like, hey, I'll get this round. But it's cool and you're safe and you're not malicious in your intent. Because like, we don't need alcohol to have fun. Like, if you require alcohol to sustain an interaction, that's probably not a good sign.
No. I think the other thing is there's like this big trend in feminism now that's like, well, you go out there and you buy the drinks. You prove that you're like an empowered woman and you buy everything. And then, and that too, it's like, you know, you don't have to go so far the other way. Just like, enjoy talking to someone, stay safe, stay true to yourself, whatever that means. If you talk to this person and you're like, you're great, you want to keep talking to them, keep talking to them. But don't put yourself in danger, and don't try to prove something to somebody.
If you're going out to prove a point, then it's like, again, we're all insecure, right? But maybe sit down at home and figure this shit out before you go and make a point. Because the worst thing you can do is if you're buying like a ton of guys drinks and you get unwanted attention, now you're like ganged up on, you're drunk. And add on top of this, if you have really bad friends, like, that's a recipe for like legitimate like sexual harassment and assault, or a lot of things that people don't think about. Like, in the dating scene, I feel like there's a lot of conversation about like promiscuous women in the club screwing over nice guys and stuff like that, but not every woman's like that. And there's some people, like, no one talks about the danger and safety of like what's actually like, because unless you grew up with like a younger sister, or sisters in general, or grew up with like good female friends, like, safety is a huge thing in dating for women.
Yeah, and I think it's like, it's too like, coming from, I came from a smaller town moving to DC, like, safety is a whole nother level in a city too. And so like, if you're a girl, just be sure that you're safe, you have a plan when you go out, and you stick to it, and like, no matter what, keep your safety at like number one, because you can't get that back. You can't get it back. Like, when someone, you know, like, hurts you or violates you or something bad happens, like, it's not worth that fun risk. Night. Like, I mean, those consequences live with you forever. And like, I feel like what happens is like, you get destroyed. Like, the more bad relationships you get into, bad things happen, you're only ruining your next relationship, because now you're all fucked up. You got to go to therapy. Nothing wrong with going to therapy. Therapy is great. But it's like, if you could prevent that from happening, like, prevention is the best medicine. Even like going on bad dates that you shouldn't be on, like, yes, it's just a bad date, maybe nothing happened, but it's like, you know, you just sacrificed a night of your life with someone that you like, you could have realized, like, if you met them organically, like, that's the other thing, like, dating apps, like, going on all these serial dates with people from dating apps is just like not worth it. I feel like it's a paradox, right? The more you try to obtain something, you don't get it because you're trying too hard. And when you're going into an environment of like, hey, are we compatible, like, right off the bat? Or like, how is this gonna work? You're putting so much pressure on this initial relationship. There's no room to grow. Like, things grow organically. It's free. It's calm. Like, if we first met and we're like, so we're gonna get married, like, how you know, like, I feel like older people do this because, you know, time's running out. It's like, so is this happening? And you're like, yo, I just met you. Like, it's kind of crazy, right? Versus, I think the best way to do it is become whole yourself. This is the best you can. And enjoy the comfort of being alone, right? Being happy and sitting there enjoying life. And then when you hang out, you're not in a frantic mess. Like, you're
cool, calm, collected. You're like, wow, you're just sharing this energy, and versus just trying to be like, let's take something, let's take as much as we can.
Or like try to find a boyfriend. The thing that worked so great for us is I think like we both went into that situation just like, oh, maybe I'll gain another friend. Like a friend introduced us and we were like, okay, well, I'll have like a guy friend, whatever. And then like,
well, not like friend zoning. Let's
not
correct
like friend zoning.
No, it's not like she went always on friend zone as a guy. I think it's just like the best way I would put it would be like, I'm going out to meet another great individual. I don't know what to expect, but they could be really cool, and this could be the blossoming of a great friendship or a relationship. But it's not like she was going out like, I'm gonna friend zone this guy, and it wasn't like I was trying to be her like teddy bear, and then 10 years later be like, I love you.
No,
like, it wasn't like that. Yeah,
we met each other and we were like, oh, this is it. We were both open to a relationship, but we didn't like. Wasn't this weird thing that you get on dating apps where it's like, oh, we're going on a date, and then you're trying to get to know somebody to see if you can date them. Like that's super awkward. Like we met with another friend, and then we were talking. We were like, oh, like shit, we want to date.
Yeah, we were really compatible. It was funny. We met and we were talking. And I guess the whole point is figuring out like what a high quality woman, a high quality man is. I mean, you need a criteria that you need to establish, because if you don't have this list in your head, you're going to hang out with like the wrong people, because that's how you identify red flags. Like if you have a criteria of like, let's say for me, a high quality woman, and you can do the same in a second, is like someone who's dependable, loyal, cooperative, pleasant, not super fucking aggressive. I'm not saying she's not like a doormat, right? But not someone who has like who's insecure and has like a point to prove 24/7. Someone's not who's so career oriented, she's willing to throw everything away just to prove a point. Like I want to have a family. I want to have downtime. I grew up in the Eastern culture. I respect femininity. Like there's something calm, quiet, and quaint. And it's like your actions and your words have to align. Like if you're going to say you're going to be dependable, like please do, like showing up on time, respecting my time, like these type of things. Because like I'm doing the exact same thing. Like I don't show up late. If you say at 7, I'm there at 6:55, just out of due respect to you. But if you do that to me, then it's like, what are you telling me right now? Yeah.
So I think like the characteristics I was looking for was someone who was gonna stay loyal to me. I wanted a family. Someone who was masculine, that was like masculine enough to allow me to be feminine, if that makes sense. Like I'm in med school in the military. Like I wanted someone really masculine. Yeah,
it makes sense. Yeah, because if you're in the military and a doctor, like you don't want to wear the pants in the relationship. No. You want to be a woman, and you have to be comfortable with that.
Yeah, and make someone that makes me feel really special. And I think for the both of us, like you didn't hear us say looks, height, like race, like any of those things are not like criteria. And I think if you go out dating and you're like, I want a 6'2" white guy that has 6-pack abs and makes like 6 figures, well, you're going to be disappointed. And you're probably going to meet crappy people.
I mean, that's a very superficial criteria list, right? I mean, I feel like the more you chase superficiality, you get destroyed. Because like if you say that list, like I want someone who's like 6 feet tall, white guy, blonde hair, blue eyes, name is Chad Thundercock, like that is all superficial things. I'm thinking, do looks matter? Yeah, they do. Looks do matter. They do.
Attraction matters.
Attraction matters. Yeah. But I'm saying like, but having someone you have to look at something like you're pretty. You can't look at something like
you have to be attracted to
you can't. If you look at their face, you're like, this isn't gonna work. Like, no matter how great, I mean, maybe someone is. Maybe I'm not that selfless. Whatever. But looks looks are the most important thing, but like you have to be attracted to them, and that is the way you look.
Yes.
Then I'm not saying like you need to look like a certain like 6-pack blah blah blah. It's like they have to find you attractive. And there's spiritual attraction, physical attraction, emotional attraction, but like someone has to hit all 3 boxes.
But I think like don't pigeonhole yourself into like this is who I find physically attractive and make it like so hyper specific.
Yeah.
Just be open and be like, oh wow, like this guy's really attractive and the way he carries himself, and like I'm attracted to that. And I think it is important to have that. And then but that's like step 1. And then everything else kind of follows after.
Yeah, I mean like example, like does it hurt to be in good shape? No. Does it hurt to like shampoo and condition your hair and brush your teeth? And no. Like taking care of yourself only promotes, because what does that show? Like attractive people usually take care of themselves because they love themselves. So like you're gonna go take a shower, you're gonna shave, you're gonna take care of hygiene, you're gonna dress well. And it's like when I'm saying like looks, I'm not saying like sacrifice everything focus on looks, but like do it because you love yourself.
Yeah,
right?
don't And like that's the thing too. Like as a girl, like maybe don't go out with the guy that like kind of smells and like wears cargo shorts and like doesn't care about himself.
Yeah.
Like, is that because if he doesn't care about himself, he's not going to care about you.
Yeah.
In the same way, like if you don't take care of yourself and like eat well and work out and like just generally take care of yourself, how are you going to take care of somebody else?
That is true. I mean, like how hard and how difficult is it to like brush your teeth, do your hair? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like just get like a form-fitting shirt. Like that, you know what I'm saying? Like it's not that difficult to go take a shower.
I mean, and like if it is difficult, like work through that.
Yeah, you probably should work through that before
Yeah.
you start dating.
Yeah.
That's a really good point. So I guess the whole point I'd like to wrap it up is like your intent has to match your behaviors. If you want a good partner, you got to hold yourself to the exact same standard. It'd be very hypocritical to go out and be like, I have a list of everything that I want, and you're none of those characteristics yourself. Like you have to do the work. Like what you put in is what you get out. And safety is huge. And even for guys is like, be careful who you get involved with. Like that's just okay. Because the worst thing you do is like you chase a girl and you just only find her physically attractive, and then she cheats on you, she gaslights you, manipulates you. Like that destroys your soul. Like that takes years to get over versus if you're just like, hey, I have her criteria, and if she's physically attractive, she has to be emotionally attractive and spiritually attractive. That solves everything, because like not everything in life is just for fun. Like a relationship's light, fun, and loving, yes, but it has also other aspects of it that's very, very important. And you can't just go out and settle for something because you're lonely, because they look pretty and you're having a fun night, because that causes damage to you. Like if you break up, like recovering from a heartbreak, man or woman, like it sucks. Like it's called heartbreak for a reason.
Yeah. And just value yourself and be like, these are my standards and values, and like do not pick a guy that doesn't meet that. If you want to have like for women too, it's a whole extra step. Like say you want a family, like pick a guy that you want to be a father to your children.
Yeah.
Like do not pick a guy that you're like, well, maybe he'll like become a good, like be a good guy in the future and be a good father. No, he needs to be someone that's like, you're like, I could see that guy being a great husband and father. And that's what I want. And if that's what you want, be like, these are my criteria, and don't deviate from that.
But you have to follow through in that. Like you can't just say that and then fuck the hot guy at the bar that's being a douchebag to everyone. Like
yeah,
you can't just do it. Like you have to follow through what you say.
Well, and if you want that, and then you go and you're like, oh well, I've heard girls say this too. They're like, oh well, I'll just take my 20s, I'll just date around, I'll have fun now, and then I'll find him later. No, he's probably gone.
Yeah, like
those
the,
people that like if you want to get married and you want to meet a high quality person, like those people get taken up pretty early. They get married.
Yeah, that is true. Like higher quality people tend to appreciate longevity of a relationship. And if they're so great, then other people, they have abundance, they have options. So they choose the best possible partner for them because they have the ability to. And like if you're so great, like, you know, it's like they usually get taken pretty quick.
Yeah. And if you meet someone that can grow with you and change, you don't need anybody else. You don't need experience dating other people. You like, if you know what you want, you have the criteria, you know what makes a good guy, you've lived, you know who you are, and then you meet someone and they can grow with you, like you're not missing out on anything. Yeah,
there's no such thing as missing out. Like if you're a guy and you feel like you have a point to prove and you want to go experience the world, like do not get in a relationship and cheat. Like don't even like girls, like don't like I take relationships very, very seriously, and that's why it's very successful. It's like I value this so much. And it means the world to me of who I'm investing time and energy and resources into, because it's high risk. It's extremely high risk, you know?
And if you are with someone and say, don't get stuck either in like, I've been with this person for so long, I'm going to stick it out. Like if you're always complaining to your girlfriends or your guy friends, you're like, dang, like my partner sucks. They do this, and this, like get out. Any of the time you spend with them, you could be spent finding someone that doesn't annoy you, doesn't hurt you, doesn't treat you badly. Like, do not stay in an abusive relationship for the sake of time. Yeah, don't do it.
I completely agree. I think it's the whole point of being like, it's okay to be alone and happy and focusing on yourself.
Yeah.
And preparing the ecosystem and foundations for the next chapter of your life.
No matter how old you are.
Yeah.
Like if you're if you're 40, 50 and you're in a like abusive relationship, or it is better to be single
Yeah, totally.
and happy and safe than like be with someone for the sake of being with someone that's not good for you.
Totally. I mean, is dating at the 40 and 50s difficult? It totally is, but the alternative's worse. Like, you never know the alternative unless you're actually in it. And just believe in yourself and hope the stars line up one day. But at the end of the day, it's like, you are enough. Like, you single is enough.
Yeah.
Like, it's the greatest view. It's like, you are not incomplete without a partner. You are complete and whole. And by thinking that you meet someone, it becomes even better.
And it adds, and you go together.
It multiplies.
Yeah.
I mean, the easiest way is like, I like to wrap this up, is negativity and sadness when you're with a partner. It's not 3 + 3 = 6. It's 9. It's multiplied. Everyone thinks the sadness is only added by double. No, it's multiplied by so much. And same thing, your joy is not added. It's multiplied. It goes both ways. So that's a really important way.
Yeah.
So, guys, once again, clap it up for Hadley. This is super fun for us. And I know you guys really appreciate it. It just means the world. And I'm so glad that you guys are so welcoming and so much support and positivity. And we'll continually do this as long as you guys want it.
Yeah, thank you.
If you guys want to talk more about this, please email me at bedroomtalksconsult@gmail.com. Set up a one-on-one consultation. It's quite affordable. If you want to see what I'm up to on Instagram, follow me at m.deep20. Everything's in the description below. As always, wish you the best. Namaste.